understatement. So take a listen for yourself.
This place has been kicked, it's been battered, it's been bruised, and I can sit up here and give you coach speak all day long. I can give you, hey, we're going to win this many games. I can't. None of that matters, and you guys don't want to hear it anyway. You've had enough of that. So excuse my language. We're going to kick you in the teeth, all right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down, all right? And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up. And then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down. And when we do, we're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing, all right? That's going to be the mentality.
I've listened to that a lot, and I have a different reaction every time. Shannon, what was your reaction really to the day yesterday?
I just want to know. Eric Bieniemy, for some reason, they want to get a job. Leslie Frazier, Pep Hamilton, and they gave a press conference like that. They'd have been a little obliterated. Let me tell you how they're doing it right now, Skip. There's a caucus where they're doing the minorities, and they say you need to speak like this. Your tone, the cadence, the pitch in which you talk. Don't be aggressive. Don't be too assertive. Be this way. That's what they tell us in order to get a job. Now, I don't have anything against Dan Campbell. I don't really know him. I know he played the position that I played. He was a tight end. Skip, I don't have anything. What's Nick Sirianni? Skip, I don't have this and has nothing to do with either one of them.
You had to look twice at his name.
Yeah.
You don't even know who he is.
Never heard of him.
Yep.
We know what's going on. Mm-hmm. I just wish they'd be honest and tell us. Skip, I got no problem with someone just disliking me. Mm-hmm. Just tell me, you don't fool with me, and we cool. The problem that I have is when you tell me that we cool, and behind, you don't really mess with me. Get down with me like that. Mm-hmm. Now, Skip, at first, the first thing they said, we're looking for someone with previous head coaching experience. Mm-hmm. Okay, then that didn't work. You say, well, we want someone that has previous NFL experience. And then all of a sudden, that didn't work. Well, we want someone that called the plays. Then that didn't work. This guy got a head coaching job at 39 because he diagrammed the plays. Because
whatever that means.
Yeah, exactly. So EB can't get a job because he can't get a job because Andy Reid is calling the plays. Matt Nagy served as offensive coordinator under Andy Reid and never called a play. Doug Peterson served under Andy Reid and never called a play. John Harbaugh served under Andy Reid and never called a play. Zach Taylor got a head coaching job in Cincinnati, Skip. He was the quarterback coach for Sean McVay and never called a play.
What does calling plays exactly have to do with being a head coach in the end?
If I don't want you to get something, I'm going to use every excuse I possibly can come up with to why you can't get it.
Did Bill Belichick ever call a play?
No.
No. Thank you. Did Jimmy Johnson ever call a play?
No.
No.
Well, Jimmy was a DC. Jimmy was on the defense side.
That's what I'm saying. So, Bill, they don't call plays, right?
So
they might suggest run or pass, but
you have to say what Jimmy could say with a D coordinator. And I get Skip, if you're a defensive coordinator, I get it. But you can't be Staley, and you get guys that are linebackers. Yeah, the guy's a tight ends coach. And he getting, like I said, they ain't got no problem with Dan Campbell. I don't care. Hey, you play in the NFL, you play. But the excuses that they use and then give a press conference like that, boy, that's a great luxury to have. That's a great luxury to have. I can be myself because what you heard Campbell do, that's who he is. We don't get to be ourselves. We got to be someone else. We got to be in a black body. You got to think it's a white voice coming out of that black body. We got to be reserved. I can't be too much of myself. I don't want to be, I don't want to be confrontational. Man, this is some bull jive, and they know it. No, look, congratulations to these 2 young men that got a job. I got no problem with them. But if you think it's anything else that's involved other than what it is, and whatever you think it is, that's exactly what it is, Skip. And they give you all that. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. But Roger Goodell, I don't blame you, Raj, because I know deep down what you're trying to do. But them other 32 owners, y'all can kick rocks.
I hear every word you just uttered. You didn't just utter them. You drove them home. And I appreciate that because it needs to be said louder and louder. Here's the underreported story beneath the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles just hired somebody named Nick Sirianni to be their head coach. I thought underreported was the Deuce Staley story. Did you cross paths with him? I can't remember. Deuce. He was a long-time Eagles running back.
Running back. Yeah, he's been there. I thought he would go with Andy, but he's kept him with Chip.
So I'm going to just read from the ESPN story this morning about Deuce Staley, who has been an Eagles assistant the last 10 years, but he has been the assistant head coach under Doug Peterson for the last 3 years. And ESPN writes, there was a strong case to be made for Deuce Staley. The degree to which current and former players advocated for him both publicly and behind the scenes is very rare. So he was getting huge, quiet, maybe behind the scenes, but also in Philadelphia, loud support from ex-players. By the way, for those who don't know, Deuce Staley is not white. Can I just?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right. Deuce Staley has the respect of everyone within the Eagles organization, can command a room like few others, and earn the opportunity after 10 years as an assistant, blah, blah, blah. And yet, there is legitimate question as to whether Staley's blunt style would have vibed with Carson Wentz. Also a question, now these are my words, of whether he would have vibed with the two men who have huge input into the football operation, the owner and the GM. They have huge input.
Thank you.
So they're like, Deuce isn't going to put up with any of our nonsense because he's going to call us on our nonsense. He's going to want more input because he's a strong voice and a voice who knows the score. He knows how to do this.
Skip, what was Coach Bill Parcells? He said, if you want me to do the cooking, at least let me shop for the groceries.
All right.
Well, how are you going to tell me what to cook, and when the dish don't come out right, well, you didn't make it right? You told me to cook this. This is not my specialty. I might not want to say it, guy.
So clearly, Nick Sirianni is so grateful for this opportunity because he just came from nowhere. Wait. I'm the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles after I was nothing but the quarterback coach for the last 3 years in Indianapolis. I was the quarterback coach. Frank Reich called all the plays and ran the offense, and that's fine.
Had you ever heard of this guy?
No.
I honestly,
no.
And we hear about a lot of guys behind the scenes, like, okay, he's getting a lot of buzz. He's getting a lot of buzz.
No.
Skip, I heard nothing.
What? I heard it the last 24 hours because he was a rising candidate for this job. Well, what did they probably love about him? Number one, he came cheap, but number two, he's so beholden to them, he's going to do whatever they want to do. He's not going to question their authority, right?
It's Skip. Dan Campbell got a 6-year deal. 6 years?
6 years.
And I can see if he had built this program, you give that to guys that you like. Kyle Shanahan got 6 years. Guys, Matt Rule got 16. At least they call plays. At least they've been at this for a minute. He was an interim coach in Miami.
He was. That's all. But at least he's got that on his resume. Look how many of these 30-something coaches have been hired over the last 2 to 3 years who came from nowhere, where we had never heard of them before they got hired. And you go down the list of let's go Sean McVay. Well, obviously he had success. What he started, 30 years of age, whatever.
He was actually started with Mike Nimmin in Washington and Kyle.
That's exactly right. And so was Matt LaFleur there, and now he's starting to have. He could be in the Super Bowl. Joe Judge, Brandon Staley, Zach Taylor, Kevin Stefanski, Arthur Smith. These are all 30-something white guys who came from kind of nowhere to get these jobs. Well, it's sheepthink because this league is saying, well, wait a second, Sean McDermott, he's doing pretty well, right? And Sean McVay, he's doing pretty well, right? Matt LaFleur is doing, let's do that. So they're all thinking, let's go that way. Let's go 30-something. Let's go young. You go cheap. You can get these guys a lot cheaper than trying to hire an established coach.
Skip, that's what they do with those guys. They don't look at Tony Dungy went and got to a Super Bowl and won. Levy Smith went to a Super Bowl. Caldwell went to a Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin went to a Super Bowl. See, they don't do that with black coaches. They only do that with white coaches that have success. Well, he has success. Well, let's get one out. Let's get one of the trees off of his. Let's get one of the apples off his tree. That's what they do. And then they do this. And then it's like, well, no. We just hired the most qualified. But it just appears to me, to my naked eye, it seems to be always the most qualified, having to look like you, talk like you, think like you, and travel in the circles in which you travel in.
So clearly to me, Eric Bieniemy is far more qualified, having come up under Andy Reid and been given sort of joint custody of the team. It's almost like he's running practice, right? He is the associate head coach in Kansas City far more qualified than any of those guys I just named as 30-somethings. Eric's 51 years of age. And I told you my fear for him is he's come in second for so many jobs that after a while people say, well, he's a runner-up, right?
And my thing is, they say, well, his interviews are terrible. I figure after 7 or 8 interviews, you already know what they're going to ask us, so you just come up with the right answer. You can't let me take a test 10 times and I still fail it on the 10th time. Oh, I'm going to get it right because it's the same test. Ain't like you asking me different questions. What I can't understand is that the men that work for the man, let's just say Andy Reid is the man. The men that work directly for under him got head coaching jobs. And the guys that work for the man, that worked up under the guys that work for Andy, got jobs. But Eric Bieniemy, that works up under the guy, he can't get a job. But we've gone 3-4 deep after that, Skip, and they get jobs.
They do.
But they say, oh, man, Shanahan ain't got nothing to do with that. It's that, you know, he called the plays. Matt Nagy didn't call plays. There are a lot of guys that didn't call plays.